Alrighty, so what we got here is a quick roundup of, 35, 36 of my favorite knives. And I guess what I want to do is just pull them off one by one as, ones I would be prepared to get rid of. Obviously, these being the top 35 or so in a collection of roughly 120. These are like some of my favorite pieces of all time. So as many as I could fit onto this little cutting board is what I grabbed. I guess before we start, there are a couple of honorable mentions. I guess favorite fixed blade, got the Bradford Guardian in MagnaCut. This has been a great box cutter. It kind of stays right up here on my table for opening packages and whatnot. I've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 fixed blades, but this is definitely my favorite. It's got great ergonomics, nice micarta, nice finger choil right here for you to grab up on. Like the first week that I had it, I cut myself right there, so that's definitely something I learned from right away. But this one's great size, great EDC. I'm not carrying this EDC, but it's just great to have. So as far as fixed blade goes, that's my favorite for sure. And then for a budget, I guess this year, the CJRB Pyrite, I think this is considered the mini. This has been awesome. I think I got this for 25 bucks or something. Some sort of FRN plastic, and then I think it's ARPM 9. Yeah, so decent steel, got a nice little coating on the blade because that is not corrosion resistant. And yeah, action's great, nice button lock, deep carry clip and everything. So it's been great. It's lightweight, good action, 25 bucks. It's insanely good. So I've got a couple of these as gifts for friends this year as well. So that would be budget knife of the year. And still the same pry bar, I would say is the best, is my Lynch Northwest titanium clip. It's always been awesome. I love it. It's great colors, fits really nice. Obviously really lightweight little titanium clip. Does all the scraping that you could need, opens bottles obviously. And little grip, does a great job. Easy to carry when you don't want to have a knife around and you wanted to pry something open. So that's still my favorite for that. That hasn't changed in years. And then yeah, I guess we can just get into the list here. So again, this is about 35 or so, I think 35, 36 that I could fit here onto this little placemat, that are my, favorite pieces in my collection. And I guess we would just whittle them down as to ones I'd be prepared with. This isn't an exact science, but it will get more and more difficult and more accurate as we get down the list. So let's see here. I know this is going to be difficult in the beginning. Let's see. I would probably, and it's again not because it's cheap, but the Devo knives, I think it's Pony Stout, made by Kevin over at Lefty EDC. It's blue micarta, really lightweight, got a perfect ergonomics. Great, hollow point or hollow grind, and a nice sheep's foot that I'm really a fan of. It's got a little harpoon up top that makes it easy to, do your draw cuts and whatnot. This is definitely a phenomenal carry, only second to maybe one other as far as like an office carry, because it's, there's probably like 2 in here that I like to carry at the office. But very non-intimidating, great action, little liner lock here. Nice wire pocket clip. I think this was like 60 bucks or something. And I don't think you can get them anymore. I think you can get a premium one, which I'd be interested in, but I'm sure it's a lot heavier because I think it's full titanium. So the Devo Pony Stout, I'm for sure going to forget some names, but it's great. But I guess that'll be the first one to go. Next up, oh man, it might be harder in the beginning. Let's see here. Yeah, for sure gonna be harder in the beginning. But an easy one to let go. I see two of them here. I'm gonna go with this guy. The stovepipe, the Spyderco stovepipe. I got this on, I don't know, you call it like a scratch and dent sale, and I think it's because of that little nick right there, because it came perfectly centered. Action is like glass smooth. It's been awesome. It's a tank. It's something fun to look at. Again, hollow grind, again, and stupid sharp out of the box. Great utilitarian, shape and everything, but there's no shot that I'm carrying it. This is for sure the heaviest knife on this table, maybe by twice as much, and it's relatively small. But it's more of a collector's piece, and I'm never gonna carry it. And so I would say that's probably something I would get rid of first or sell. I think these run like $500 MSRP, give or take, and I got it for like $200 on a scratch and dent sale for that little nick. I really like it. Again, that's why it made the cut up here. I think this is in 20 CV. Yeah. So it's beautiful. It's got a nice stonewash finish, like a dark, deep stonewash finish that I really am a fan of. Action's great, glassy on washers, but it's just not something I'm ever going to carry. I don't think I've ever carried this outside of the house now that I think about it, but Spyderco stovepipe would be the next to go. All right, we got 2 knives off the table, making this really easy. I would say the next to get knocked, and again, this is probably just what I'd be prepared to like get rid of. Price will go into that, sentimental value will go into that. I would probably say, and I hate to, I will go with that, and I might regret this, but the TRM Bulldog, I looking at it on paper especially, I would think that I would want this like in the top 5 or 10 of keepers, and it still looks that way just looking at it, but there are a couple of issues. The axis lock is something that I want. They stick out further than any other axis lock, maybe other going along with the TRM Shadow, but that's a bigger knife. This is a smaller knife. What the biggest, I'm able to do it. The biggest caveat I would say is the action, simply because this sticks out so far on the axis lock, the crossbar lock. It prevents me from being able to middle finger flick it, and then the thumb roll isn't even that good because the pill here is so small, and I've got, my hands aren't very big, so that's kind of an issue. The other issue is this is a very small finger choil, and this might right here be the sharpest. Like I could just slice through shit immediately with that, including my index finger. So that's kind of a problem, because even when I choke up, it kind of rolls into that. If I were to really bear down, that would get just sliced immediately. Other than that, I love the shape. That's why the Neutron, you'll see later on, particularly, they're very similar in shape, but the Neutron has much thinner blade stock, much thinner scales, everything smaller about it, and probably, I don't want to say half the weight, but I mean, it's just perfect. This is one of the first knives that got me into my reboot of my collection over COVID. And as you can see, they're almost identical, but then you start to look at the nuances of it. It probably feels like another third of the weight, the thickness probably another third, and you're talking about the axis lock. While the axis lock or the crossbar lock is one of my favorite locks, period, it just isn't working right here with execution due to how it sticks out so much. It's hard to, I don't know if you understand this, but when you're doing this, that piece is moving underneath my index finger, and it's preventing it from executing that full deployment. So you can kind of pull your finger off like that and maybe do it, but you're going at it weird. It's just a poor, I don't want to say a poor design. They obviously thought it through, but it doesn't really work for that middle finger flick, which is like half of the deployment. I guess you could just do this all day. But that is, long story short, how it is going to be taken off next. All right, how are we doing here? Okay, let's see. Next on the list. I had this one, this was on the contest for the next one with that Neutron, or not Neutron, but Bulldog to go. So just because it's not that special, I have decked it out to be mine, but this is the Civivi Elementum in S35VN, which is somewhat of a limited edition. I also put custom carbon fiber scales, did a nice milled titanium clip. So this is all decked out to my specifications that I would like. But at the end of the day, it's still an Elementum. I guess it's good for just everyday carry, especially if I was concerned about losing it, or, you know, like going someplace where I couldn't take it and I had to leave it somewhere that wasn't safe, you know, like in an alley or something, so I could come back for it later. I would not want to leave most of these knives out there, but I would be worried about this. This one probably runs about, I think it was like around 80 bucks, and then the scales were a little bit more, and then the clip was a little bit more. So we're looking a little north of $100 decked into this Elementum. Action's still great. The blade shape is perfect. That spear point, drop point. It's got a hollow grind. This was like knife of the year for a lot of people 3 or so years ago. So I understand the appeal, but it's just easy to let go when we're looking at all these other knives. The Bulldog, I think, was around $250, maybe $300, but I think it was like $250. I was also a little disappointed because I thought it was a Magna Cut, and it's not the end of the world. This is in 20 CV, so you're sacrificing some hardness. Did you see that? It won't deploy, and some obviously corrosion resistance for a little bit more edge retention, I would say, on this. That's probably the only advantage that it has. All right, knocked 4 out, and we're at 12 minutes. So I'll try and speed things up as best as possible, but this is just a fun video for me to make on New Year's Eve 2024. Okay, so the next one to go, okie dokie, I've got one in mind. Is it going to be, yeah, it's just not my favorite. The TRM Shadow, it's great in a lot of aspects. I like it more because it's not meant to be a middle finger flick, even though see, same issue. But I do like it a little bit better than the Bulldog, simply because it's just a bigger grip. I'm not worried about being cut by the sharpening choil. I do like the blade shape. I kind of like that kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a cleaver. If you look at it, kind of goes down right here. I really like that blade shape. Not a fan of these scales at all. So if I do see some aftermarket or TRM puts out some scales for this Shadow, I would definitely be interested in getting them, but they're lightweight, so I appreciate that. The clip is nice. We got inset screws, which is a nice touch. This is one of the loosest pocket clips on the collection, and I'd be really concerned about it slipping out of my pocket, especially because this G10 is super smooth, so I don't think it would hesitate to slip out of my pocket on a whim. But other than that, I really like the blade shape of it. I wish they made this just a little bit smaller, which is really approaching the Bulldog here. But I do wish it was a little bit smaller. This is for just someone with a bigger hand, but you can obviously do a little bit more with a little more blade. So that is it for the Shadow. I believe this one is around $325, give or take. These were really hard to get, but I managed to get one on a drop, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. Alrighty. Let's see, what's next? What is next? What could I part ways with? And again, I hate to say it on price, but price is going to go into this next one on why it's going. But the Kaiser Sheepdog, this is another one of the best carries for the office. It's very small. It's kind of fun looking. It's not aggressive looking, like what was something I wouldn't want to bring into the office. Oh, tell me it. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. So like Protect Malibu, you don't want to be bringing this into the office. This is just stupid. I have, but you know, you definitely don't want to take it out of your pocket. It's just aggressive looking. Whereas the Kaiser Sheepdog, it's a little guy. It's amazing what kind of grip you can get on just this little cleaver right here. It's a nice, tall, I think just a straight flat grind. And it's nice. It's lightweight. It carries pretty well in the pocket just because it's so short. I really like it. I really like their kind of black wash finish right here that we have on 154 CM. Oh, by the way, blade steel. I think it's also 20 CV on the Shadow. And I think it's D2 on the Kaiser Pony Stout and S35VN, if I didn't mention it on the Civivi Elementum. So I think this is 154 CM. That's completely fine. Really good action. Just drops here on a liner lock. I like it, but I could let it go again because I could get another one really quick. So yeah, the Kaiser Sheepdog Mini will go. It's a good gift. I'd recommend that as a gift because they got tons of them in different styles, different colors that you could get for someone, and they're relatively cheap. I bet you could get one for like $40. All right, next, who would go? All right, now we're getting a little bit more. Now we got to start thinking about what I carry more often versus things that are just super precious to me that I don't ever want to let go. Ones that would be gone if they didn't have sentimental value already. I would say just because I have so many other knives that kind of scratch this itch, and I do use it, but there's just a couple things I don't like about it. But the Spyderco, holy cow, and Maximet, Maxis, is great. It's, you know, kind of in that shadow realm as far as like a big knife, definitely a working knife. It has their version of, I think it's like some sort of ball bearing that you pull down. It works similar to a crossbar, but the mechanism inside is completely different. But the way it locks behind the knife is similar, if I'm not mistaken. But the Spyderco Maxis, I think, am I saying that right? I got this in Maximet. I got a couple of these knives. This one, and this one, I all got on that scratch and dent sale. This is in Maximet. Second only to one other freak on this table as far as cutability. This also is in Maximet, but this I think would run for $250 or whatever. But I got it, I think it's off-centered, which isn't that big of a deal. Yeah, so it's a little off. And I got it for, I think I got this for $75. I think I got this for $75 as well. This would be a $250 knife as well. But what I don't like about it is these scales. And I know they can be replaced. Original Goat is coming out with some. I think I put some on pre-order, but that was months ago and they still aren't produced yet. And the reason I need a whole new set is, as you can see, these are, I don't know if you call it riveted or whatever. They don't come out. I'm going to have to like break them. And the only thing that can unscrew is the pivot here. And that way I'm just dealing with the blade, and basically this piece and a little of that is going to get clamshelled by some brand new scales. And that would make this definitely more appetizing. What these FRN scales do make is extremely grippy, as any of the Salt series has just this extremely grippy FRN plastic, and it feels like plastic. It feels like just cheap. And sometimes you want that, you know, it's, you know, lightweight. It holds up. It sandwiches a little bit, but I'm not a fan of the feel. I think this is made out of a plastic as well. I know you can get like titanium ones. You can get them with little tritium vials as well, just to like deck it out. But if this had a little more grip, maybe if I got some replacement actuators that were made out of titanium and they had sharper teeth, that way I could pull down a little bit better. But the action is pretty good. I think it's on washers. Especially the rollout feels really nice. Ergonomics, no complaints whatsoever. But it's bigger, and there's so many other things I like about so many of these other knives. So Manix. Why was I calling them Maxis? The Spyderco Manix 2 is what this is. So this is in Maximet, just a banger of a work knife. So I think only a couple of them, maybe one other one, has replaced that as my work knife, just because of convenience and what it does for me. But we'll get there when we get there. All right, we're shaving some off. We're probably down to 20 or so, maybe 25. All right, who's going next? Who is going next? I think I have one in my sights. Monterey Bay, you're in my sights. Is there anybody that's gonna go before you? Going once, going twice. All right. Monterey Bay Knives. This is awesome. This is a great office carry. That not hawkbill, but like that sheep's foot Warncliffe right there can be a little aggressive. I remember I dropped it when I was at the cafeteria once. I was pulling my wallet out of my pocket and I pulled this out and it banged onto the ground and it flipped out and it just landed right there between me and the cashier. It was an awkward moment. Anyways, this is Monterey Bay's pocket clips are awesome. They just I don't know what it is about them, but I've got a couple of them and they just slip in and out of the pocket so well. This is very smooth carbon fiber. The fit and finish is really nice. The action's really nice. It's not like drop shutty, but the action is, top tier. So I'm really a fan. This is ZDP 189, I believe. It's a Senmai blade, so I don't know if you can see it, but I'll kind of flip it so you might be able to see. But roughly right there, you can see another line. And what that is a sandwich of, honestly, I can't remember the steel on the top, is sandwiched over the actual blade edge, which is the ZDP 189. And that's, I believe, a steel that's a lot, has better edge retention. I might be way off on that. I think this is my only ZDP 189, but it's covered by something a lot stronger on the outside, whereas the edge is going to be ZDP 189, which is, what you're going to be cutting with. So I should know more about that. I probably knew more about it when I got it. It is so sad that I've lost track of so many of the things on these knives. I love them all. This is still a great carry. And I carry it all the time anyway. More than most of these, to be honest, if I really think about it. But it would be the next one to go just because it doesn't have that much, special value to me. So that is the next one to go. Okay. Who's next? Who is next? I got one. I think he's going. All right. Just because he's a bit of a basic bitch. The Ritter Hogue, the RSK Mini. This is one of two that I have. This one is in MagnaCut steel, carbon fiber scales, and I believe that's a titanium clip. Is that titanium? Nope, that is not a titanium clip. All the more reason why you're going. It's a perfect little stout little knife. It's got nice little ergonomics. Little, that's kind of the thing here. But for being so little, it's got a stout handle, which has its advantages in use. But at the same time, it's not very good to carry. I even took the clip off and sanded down the scales right here because it really roughs up your pocket. But what I'm getting at is it doesn't carry very well in the pocket. Even though it's short, even though it's compact, for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel well in the pocket. Just for instance, the best carry in here in my pocket would obviously be this little Benchmade here. And I knew because it's been so long, I'm going to forget the names. But the Benchmade, oh my God, you guys are going to kill me here. I've got two of them. This is the mini. It's been too long. this is a shame on me. I'll get back to it. But this is the best carry in my pocket, followed by the TRM Neutron 2. But this should be similar. In fact, it's maybe even a little bit smaller, but it's very thick and it's rounded, which makes for a chubbier fit in my pocket, and it's just not as comfortable. So the Benchmade Mini RSK Ritter Hogue is going to go next. Oh, forgot a couple prices. I'd say this was around 150, maybe 180. Monterey Bay knives, this is a long time ago. I think this is 150. And these are great for the price, and they look nice. I think we're caught up on that. Okay. Who's going next? All right. This used to be my favorite for a long time, the Giant Mouse Ace Riv, and I still love it, but it's going to be the next one to go. I think it's in M390. I'm not sure. Everything's great about it. As far as a small carry, this used to be my dedicated office carry for a long time. They recently made it a frame lock instead of this, or not a frame lock, but an integrated frame lock. Not a liner lock, but maybe a bolstered one. I can't remember, but you really have to get your fingers on the clip, kind of like a violin, in order to deploy the flipper here. And that's kind of a pain in the butt, but the middle finger flick works really nice, but it's so small. But with that being said, that's pretty much all the cons about it. Everything else is pros. It's lightweight. It's got a nice wired pocket clip. Nice crown spine, which isn't, it isn't like needed, but it's a nice touch. It adds a nice piece of refinery to it. I like it with a little bit of jimping right here, but obviously really good for utility cuts. And that I love that leaf shaped that like the Sage has. It's a great blade shape because it has some belly to it, but it also comes down to a point, because what are most of us doing with knives? We're opening packages, and that's what we do with little draw cuts right there. Micarta M390, nice little pocket, nice little design, and the ergonomics here are absolutely perfect. Like every little finger fits on there. Even your pinky goes on the back. This finger choil is big enough completely, and your thumb goes right over the top. It's perfect, and it's just all the little blade you need just for a little cut of something. Giant Mouse Ace Riv is phenomenal, but this is nothing but phenomenal knives here on this table. So this one's gonna go next. I think this was around 150, 175 when I got it. All right. Okay. Oh, I hope that's okay. I've got a couple in my crosshairs, and it's crazy that I'm looking at them, but oh well, here we go. The Spidey Chef. If I could only have one knife, it makes more sense. If I could only have one knife, which is kind of what this is, but at the same time, it's also ones that I'm willing to part with. There are other knives that can do this job. This is a Spidey Chef. This is a great kitchen knife. It's not going to rust. LC200N, nice flat titanium. This, along with the Chris Reeve, this might, because it's a little bit freer moving, and bank vault lockup. I haven't used this in a long time, so it's not really dropping, but usually it would maybe get it moving a little bit. But the Spidey Chef titanium LC200N, nice blade shape, great for the kitchen. Good ergonomics, not fantastic ergonomics. I've sharpened this a couple of times, and it loses its edge really damn quick. Maybe it's me as a sharpener, but the action is glass. It's awesome. That's probably my favorite part about it. Just the action, and I can use it for a kitchen knife. I've got other kitchen knives. I got other knives on this table that can be used as kitchen knives, but the action is probably my favorite part about this knife. It doesn't carry necessarily well, not that it is pretty big. Let's look at like an average knife size. an average knife size right here. It's a lot smaller, so or a lot bigger than the average. And then something I would want to carry would be about this small. So it is much bigger than I would like to carry. I'm assuming that's 3.25. We got a little measuring table right here. So yeah, that's cutting blade is about 3.25. The whole blade itself, yeah, about 3.25. So it's a whole lot of knife. It does a good job. If you could have only one kitchen knife, that's probably the play. But the Spyderco Spidey Chef is next to go. All right, we're whittling down. We're whittling down. I probably should have started with a smaller list, but this is kind of fun. I haven't done this in a while. All right. I kind of do this on my own. Like I'll put them out in one of my leather trays, and I'll put like my favorite 10 and just look at them for a little bit. That's usually what I do. But I'll sit down there, I'll turn off the TV, and I'll just like nerd out on what's my favorite. If the house is on fire and I gotta like take one with me, I'll do that from time to time. All right, next to go. This is tough. I would have to say, even though it's an oldie, but it's been around a long time, and that's not a bad thing at all. But the F5.5 by Urban EDC, I love this. And I'll just say right now, for such a chunky blade, let's say again, this is probably one of the easiest or my favorite full-size knives. I mean, look at that blade stock. It's I don't know, 75% bigger. This carries extremely well. I don't know if it's the flat micarta, but they are chamfered on the edges. So this actually, I went in there with some cardboard and some other material to smooth down some edges, especially this pocket clip. This was atrocious. It's a great pocket clip, but in hand, when you're bearing down, that was really getting to me. So I sanded that down with sandpaper, and then I got on there with some cardboard and I smoothed it out. It's a perfect edge right now. But anyways, with that being said, M390 right here, micarta titanium. I think this was $200 on the button. The Urban EDC F5.5 liner lock, titanium liners, if I'm not mistaken. And it's great. Great action, still drop sheddy. Great ergonomics, nothing to complain about here. Good, perfect, again, blade shape, a nice Wharncliffe sheep's foot. I still don't know the answer. I like to think that this is a sheep's foot as opposed to a Wharncliffe being, where's my Wharncliffes? Like a Wharncliffe, perfect, a Wharncliffe right here. I think of it this way, like a flat. And I understand there's more of a difference than that, but I like to think it's a sheep's foot when it's, like that, with some belly to it, and it comes down to a point as opposed to a flat edge right here. So I might be mistaken on those names, but that's what I'm gonna call it. This is my fucking list. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. But I love this knife. I've loved it for a long time, and it lasted probably as long as it should have lasted among all of these beasts up here. Benchmade mini bug out. That's what this is. God. I'm embarrassed that it took me that long to remember, but anyways, the Urban EDC F5.5 has been great. And then I put these little titanium dealies on here with just some leather. I'll buy like leather strips on Amazon, and I'll buy these little like titanium beads right here, and I get them to match up. They look pretty nice, and it makes it easier to take it out of your pocket. And especially for a knife like this, you might want a little bit of extra right here. Same with this guy right here. It's nice to have that extra like grip right there at the end of the butt of the knife. So yeah, F5.5, made it for a long time. You made roughly top 15. Let's count how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. I think that was 24. I might have missed one. But wow, we're not going very fast, are we? We're at 34 minutes. This is gonna be at least an hour. All right, I'm gonna do my best to give you the deets, but move at the same time. All right, next to go would be, oh my gosh, this is gonna be really hard towards the end. All right, so, all right. This one has special sentimental value to me, and it stayed on for that reason. It's still a fantastic blade, great knife, great carry. The Ferrum Forge Stinger, I think it's the Nitro V. So this is the knife that kickstarted me back in COVID to get back into knives, and I love it. And I thought this was just great, and I didn't know what I was getting into because my collection doubled very quickly. This is what got me back into it. I also got this for, the reason I got started is because I got this for Eric for a Christmas present or a birthday present back then. And then I was like, I want one for myself too. And it's great, and it stayed on here longer because of sentimental value. But with that being said, as far as a budget-friendly knife, I'm assuming I got this for like $70 back then. They're probably like 100 now, I don't know. But extremely thin, good action, thin blade stock, thin scales, great action, liner lock right here. The fuller right here works really well. I think you might be able to middle or thumb flick it too. Yep, look at that. And you know, everything's great about it. It's got this tiny little clip, which is nice. It almost looks like a pen in your pocket. And it's deep carry. Everything's great about it. It's Nitro V steel, just great ergonomics, does the job. I'm not a fan so much of the longer blades with the, you know, just, it's not a clip point by any stretch, but I like more of a sheep's foot in my blades just because I'm doing more utility cuts, less poking and less draw cutting. So the Ferrum Forge Stinger is next to go. All right. I got a couple in my sights. A couple. And you're a goner, buddy. A lot of people, especially one particular friend in the knife community, would say that this is the best knife in my collection, right, Tim? And I don't carry it very much. It has a presence in your pocket. That sounded bad. But I got this again on a scratch and dent sale. I got some Flytanium, contoured Flytanium scales, which have some grip as opposed to this titanium, which they probably look very similar to you. This is smooth, this is rough. And I actually appreciate that, especially with the user like this. You want some extra grip, and that does the job just fine. What I don't like about it is that it comes to more of a point. It probably has more, well, it has more, you know, pokeability. I like more like draw cuts. I guess, again, that's what it comes down to. But everything else about it is great. The ergonomics are phenomenal. I love, you know, how you can pinch it together. That's why the Sage 5 is still here. It's got very similar ergonomics. This is a Maximet steel, just like the one I've already forgotten the name of again, Spyderco Manix 2, lightweight, but great steel. These two are gonna rust real fast, but they're also gonna break down boxes longer than anything else on this collection, except for one. I wonder if you guys know who that is. So the Spyderco PM3, I like it better than the PM2 just because it's more my size, fits my hand. I got a little bit small, medium hands. I love the compression lock back here. This is a Lynch Northwest clip because their clips are terrible. And yeah, it's great, but it's a chonker. So if I have a knife like sitting out, this wouldn't be a bad one. But as far as carrying and whatnot, I'm not going to carry this that often, just because it's the thickness. All right. Oh, I forgot prices. Not that important, but again, I got this for like $75. This would be like $250. I think 200 on the f5.5. I think I've named the prices. Yes, I have. We're good. All right, next up. Wow, this is going to get difficult. All right, so I can see this one. I can see this one going. All right, so this one, the Penny Apache has a fun story to it. When I got back into knives back in the COVID times, this was the first like really nice knife that I got, and I think I spent like $250, maybe $275 on this. Micarta, really nice micarta, titanium build, completely titanium build, and a nice M390 blade in a perfect blade shape. My favorite blade shapes belong to this guy, the f5.5 that we pointed out. This is a good example of what I like. This is almost like reverse Tanto a little bit, getting close to the Malibu a little bit. But for, I like this one better. Issue is it's pretty thick. Very sharp, nice, good sharpening choil here, so you got plenty of life on it. It's all front flipper or top flipper right here. Works really nice. I really like that, but easy to let go. The story behind it is I got this, back in COVID times, and I lost it. I lost it about a month into having it. And think about something, you just get into a hobby and you finally get something, you get a nice camera or whatever, and you lose it. Obviously these aren't cameras, but I lost this. It was like $250, $275, and I was heartbroken. I was pretty pissed, and I thought it had fallen out. I went back to the grocery store, I went back to the parking lot, I went everywhere, couldn't find it. I think it was earlier this year. My neighbor upstairs hit me up, and he's like, hey, you like knives? I got a couple questions about some knives. I don't know how to close them or something along those lines. And I was like, sure, man, bring them on down. And I was like, they're probably like some sort of bolster lock or something, I don't know. So he comes out, brings out the first knife, just some fucking truck stopper. I put this out just for shits and giggles. I got this earlier this year on like some Blade HQ sale, but this is the Boker Mermaid. But he comes in with some like truck stop knife like this, and it's like a complete junk, and it was a I think it was a liner lock, and it was pretty well hidden, kind of like the Neutron. It was pretty well hidden, so he didn't know how to shut it. So I was like, you gotta open it up, and you look on the inside, and you kind of got to pull this in, and that pulls the the lock out from under the blade so that the blade can close down on you. Oh, okay. And then he's like, and then I have this one, and he shows me this. Now this guy comes down with two pocket knives. One is a gas station knife that he doesn't even know how to close. And then this one is all beat up. He doesn't know how to close it either. Like I think the pocket clip was missing a screw. And I look at it, and I look him square in the eye, and I'm like, bro, where did you get this? And he's like, what did he say? He said something else. And I was like, that's my knife. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I lost this knife. I lost this back in 2021 or whatever it was. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I found it right when I moved in. And that's when he moved in. And he's like, yeah, his story comes to. And he's like, yeah, I found it out in the parking lot or something. Like, dude, that's probably where I lost it. It was probably like in my lap, or it fell out of my pocket when I got out of my car. So anyway, he found it that year, and 3 or so years later he comes over asking how to close this thing. And so I'll try and make this story short, but I'm like, that's pretty nice, and I'm not even kidding you. I said, I'll clean it up and you can take it. And I'm too generous in those kind of situations. And as soon as he's like, oh, thanks, man, I cleaned it all up. I showed him how to close it. I tightened down all the screws, all that stuff. And I sent him back. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? I can't fucking believe this. And so I texted him like 2 minutes later. I'm like, I got a proposition for you, man. Why don't you come back down and I will lay out some knives. And I laid out, a handful of knives. I think, 5 or 6 knives. And I think one of them was a PM3, like probably one that was like $125, $150. But I've got, I don't know, like 4 or 5 PM3s, but I'm among some other knives that were in the $50 to $125 range. And I'm like, you can take any one of these knives and I want this back. And he's like, dude, I felt bad as soon as I left, that you're letting me keep this. I go, no, I appreciate it. I'm glad you found it. And I would hopefully end up getting it back. And so he's like, yeah, sure, man. So he, I forgot what he ended up taking. I think it might have been the other, I think it might have been the PM3, but I'm not sure. So that's the special story behind this. I got it back, cleaned it up. I ended up putting some screws from something else. I don't know where these came from, but they're black screws. They don't belong to it. I might have taken them from the Apache. Or the Raptor. This is the Apache, but I might have taken it from the black Raptor, and because I like this one more. But this would be the next one to go. You can even top flip it like that. The little reach around action. All right, we got to start moving. Let's trim some fat here, as I said in my last video. All right, we can do this. All right, let's make some drastic decisions here. I am gonna take out the mini bug out. This would be the one I've probably carried into the office the most. A buddy of mine got me this. I think it was Tim got me this for $100 maybe, and these are like $225 or something like that. An S90V carbon fiber. It is the lightest. It is very low profile. It's got great action. I can't get the action to be no wobble and have good action. Benchmade is terrible. Same with Spyderco. As far as getting their action dialed in, it really frustrates me, but it's very small. You're not going to be doing heavy duty cuts with this anyway, so the action, or not action, but the blade play doesn't need to be like phenomenal, but like it's such a small knife, it doesn't matter all that much, and it carries like a fucking dream. The carbon fiber makes it super lightweight. It's already a very small knife. It deep carry pocket clip. Everything's great about it, but it's got to go. It doesn't have one knife capabilities. Let's say that's why this one's going. This one is probably, I just told you the price. I probably got it for like $100, but good luck finding it for that price. It's a great knife. Next up, I think we are going to trim off one of my Jack Wolfs. Now this is going to be tough. Jack Wolf, as you knife people would know, he, I forgot his name. It's not Jack. It's not Wolf. I forgot his fucking name. But he makes these modern traditional pocket knives. Here. Let's start organizing a little bit. Here and here. Oh yeah, no, I got a better idea. These, I'm gonna do two first, just because we need to shave off some fat. Some of these might have gone first, but we have 5 of these, and some of them serve double purpose, including this one, including these that are the exact same knife, including this one that's very similar to that one. So with that being said, I hate this because it might be the best one out of all of them. It's gonna be between the Midnight Jack and the Feel Good Jack. This one has possibly the best action out of all of them. The After Hours Jack, it's super thin. All of these are going to be hollow grinds, razor sharp. Out of the box, consistently the sharpest knives that I've got. This one has the best action. I did my least favorite of aesthetics, followed by this guy. But is the only one I could get, and I really like it. I think it's called the Feel Good Jack, because I think it's like a doctor. I think it's for crushing up pills. I think that's the story that I heard. I might be way off, but it's nice because you can stack it just like that. I believe you can stack this one as well, but here nor there. I think this would be the next to go for a single blade. It's a nice little carry, but you're carrying it in a slip anyway. So they're all going to be roughly the same size in your pocket. And it, you know, as far as filling out the hand, it's not going to do as good of a job, but points, kudos to being the best action probably out of all of them as far as slip joints go. So the feel good is going to go. I think these guys are going to live to see another day, but I can already see the one that's going to go next out of that list. Oh, I got to clean these out. These get some serious action here. Okay, let's see here. This is going to be getting there. You know what? That one I just touched. The Mini Typhoon. Quite, as far as like a blade, that is fucking stunning. I think it's the coolest looking blade on this table. Not my favorite blade as far as functionality, but the coolest. And I ain't functioning with a Sharp by Design Mini Typhoon, or any Sharp by Design for that matter. This transition on the micarta is unworldly. From titanium to cloth, canvas, micarta, you can't feel the difference as you go over that. You can't even feel it with your nail. I'm doing my nail, I can't feel the difference. That's exceptional. Sharp by Design's fit and finish, and their smooth lines and their tolerances, all that stuff is top tier. Getting back to the blade, I believe this is M390. Did I forget some S90B if I didn't mention it on the mini bug up? I believe this is M390. Brian Nadeau makes these, he makes a lot of custom knives, and this is one of his productions. I don't have any of his custom knives because they'd be way too much. I think this one is 300, 350 maybe, probably 300, maybe 275. But their pocket clips aren't great. Kind of pokes into the hand. Actually, this one's not that bad. The Mini Tempest was worse, and I filed that down a little bit. But this wins on coolest blade. We've got a hollow grind right here, brush satin finish right here, and then a thicker, I don't want to call it a tanto. I guess you could call that a tanto, but it sweeps up right there, and it's a lot thicker right here. So you could do some like deeper cuts with that, and maybe do some minor prying. But I'm not even opening packages with this. Not that I couldn't. But I've got a lot of other knives that I do that with instead. I'm also not particularly a fan of the clip point right here, but I do love this like swedge, this harpoon swedge right here. I think that's awesome. The fuller and the little cutout right here aren't necessary, but I mean, it doesn't look bad. Other than that, I mean, I prefer that one. That's why this guy's still here. So this one will go. Their action is great. And now we're really nitpicking here, but it has like a, the deployment sounds great. But I don't know if you can hear that. That really annoys me. It's like a, let's see. I don't know, something about it. Right. I don't like it. I don't know if you can hear that over the audio. I don't like it. Sharp by Design, Mini Typhoon, great looking knife, great ergonomics, no complaints, but I'm not using it very often. I've got a Sharp by Design that I would prefer if I could only keep one. I think I've got 3. I got another version of the Mini Typhoon, but it didn't make it. Yeah, this one's going next. On those lines, as far as the sound of audio, the Quiet Carry 9, it sounds clanky, clickety clanky, and acoustics, people like that. A lot of people like that, but I can't. I don't know. It just sounds like it's rattling a little bit. I love it, and it is staying in for a while. I think this was top of a lot of people's list last year for Knife of the Year. Anyways, we'll get there because that little audio right there isn't going to knock this knife off of the list. All right, next up, we will take, all right, I can see one. I guess, I don't want to say I don't know why he's been on there, but he's still on there. The Vero Engineering. This is a double detent. So this is the Neutron. Wait, TRM Neutron. This is the Neuron. I knew I was going to mix that up. It's a double detent. So look at that. It as far as fidget factor, there's a detent to push it down. There's a detent to pull it out. Giggity. It also has a nice little square box right here. There's no lock. It's great. M390, full titanium, great little pocket carry. It is kind of chunky. It is kind of heavy. This is a full titanium build, but the action is great. People will complain because you could, be doing your draw cuts or whatever, and then you push it in. But at the end of the day, like, you're pushing on something. Let's get something I can push onto. Fuck it. I got some silicone right here. I can push all I want, because I'm pushing into it anyway. Now, if I went like that, it would go in. But anyways, you see what I'm getting at. I can push down, and then when I'm done with it, as far as like deployment and like getting the job done and closing it, this is up there. It's a little small. There's one other knife on here that wins as far as like as far as like day-to-day just package opening, and we'll get to that guy later. I love him. But the Vero Engineering Neuron, TRM Neutron, Neuron, yeah, is going. See you, bud. Okay. All right. Who's going next? Look at all you beautiful bastards. I'll spread you out. I'll give you a little more breathing room. You deserve it. I like symmetry. We're lacking in that department. All right. I see ones that I want. Okay, no, we're doing this. Sorry, Timmy. But I wanted a Venom Jack. It was one of the first Jack Wolf knives to come out, the Venom Jack. And I didn't know what I was missing out on. I wasn't really into them. I'd never had a slip joint at that time. And this one came out, I think, followed by this guy, the Midnight. But the Venom came out, and I didn't know, and these sell out immediately. These guys sell out immediately. And I didn't know what I was missing, and I didn't get one. And, shit. Then I got on the train with this guy, and then I bought, I don't know, I have like eight or so of them now. A buddy of mine had this one, and he was willing to part ways with it. I can't remember if I traded him something or I just Venmo'd him. But I think this one was about $200 for the Neutron. And I think it's an M390. Sorry, sidetracked here. This is also an M390. These two right here are Venom Jacks. So my buddy said, you can buy it off me or trade it with me. I can't remember what we did, but I ended up buying this off of him. And I still think that this mixed carbon fiber, they also do this in the Sharp by Design Typhoon or Tempest. And they did it better. This is very smooth. This has some like texture to it also, but when you see it, if you look up close, it looks gorgeous. Both of them look gorgeous, but I don't know if it's just how they finished this or whatever, but this has a feeling like this could end up chipping away. And this doesn't. This feels like it's completely like homogeneous, so to speak, but they look almost identical in hand. So I like what they did. I love I love this knife. I bought off him for a good price below retail, which he could have sold it for more than retail, so I appreciate that. But this one is awesome, but I'm going to keep the titanium one, and we'll get to that guy later because I'm not ready to part ways with him. But the Venom Jack will be the next to go. Yeah, these are all bangers. This one's going. I think this is an M390. This is an S90V. This one retails for about $300. Okay. I've been thinking about a few of them. There are two that I use for utility more than anything. And I'm going to get rid of one of them right now. So, ProTech Malibu. This is one of my favorite knives to show to people who don't play with knives, just because it's so easy to deploy, so easy to close. Also, my proudest job The job I'm most proud of as far as sharpening, I got this 20 CV to a screaming edge. Excuse me. And it's great for box cutting. I don't know why I'm not happy with it. Maybe because it's not more pressed down and it swoops up, a lot like the Spidey Chef. I don't like that, how it goes up like that. It makes it harder for me to do my cuts. I really have to like point my finger down. Whereas, you know, something like, come on, man. You know, this is already there. Like, I can just draw it right there. But I think that maybe that's my issue. I also don't like a longer blade. I wish it like cut off right there, and then it was also a shorter blade. I even reached out to ProTech asking them to, you know, what do you guys think of making a ProTech, what did I say, like Baja or something like that? Just a shorter version of the Malibu. I mean, that would sell extremely fast. But aluminum, 20 CV, I believe. Some of the best flipper action you're going to find out there. A lot of people's knife of the year back in 2021, 2022 when this came out. I love it. I don't carry it all that often because it is kind of aggressive to some people, scary to some people. I'm not here to do that. Their pocket clips are second to none as far as like functionality. They're very strong. That would be my only gripe. But as far as like smooth lines, they got inset like screws and everything, that's great. I love it, but it's going next. I'm not going to give any more explanation. I don't need to explain shit. Getting a little spicy up in here because the video's going long. We're at about an hour and 1 minute, and I've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 15. We need to move. This is gonna be a 2-hour fucking video. All right, I'm trying, folks. I should spend more time on the ones that are on the table or that are at the end than the ones that are in the beginning. So I'll see what I can do as far as speeding shit up. Okay, so next, I've got some people, some knives that I'm looking at who, yeah, it's, these guys are great. The 9 and the Drift. The Drift was early on, back in the Neutron days. As far as ergonomics go, I would say the 9. It's bigger than I need. I like that it doesn't have a finger choil. They made a Drift large, which I like, but I don't have large hands. So if they basically made this without a finger choil and they just gave me that much more blade right there, I would be happy, because these are great ergonomics right here. Super light. As you know, quiet carry, you could throw either of these two in the water and come back next year and it'll be fine, in the ocean for that matter. So, and the 9 right here, it's going to be between these two, and I'm going to make that decision shortly. But the 9 these are both titanium. This is Vanex as well as that is Vanex. This is in 20 CV, which I'm a little disappointed in, just because it's a fun, or not fun, but it's kind of a rarer steel that you don't see as often. The action for sure goes to the 9 because it's on bearings. Not to say that washers can't be great action, but the 9 will for sure, you know, have better action, especially on the drop shed. Not sure. For a washer, that's not bad, but this has some of the best. Just, I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it flies out of there and it comes back. Ergonomics are maybe the best on the table. That just feels perfect. It's perfect. Perfect. I love it. The blade's just bigger than I would like. All right. If I could only have one, the 9's going. So let's just cut to the chase here. Cool marbled carbon fiber inlay right here. Knurled titanium, 20 CV. Perfect frame lock right here. Perfect clip. This thing, for its size, disappears in your fucking pocket. For a knife this big, this feels the smallest in your pocket. The waypoint, also a very long knife, disappears as well. It's very thin and very narrow, but this is thicker, and that's about it. It carries extremely well. Look at that clip. It's perfect. It does a really good job. So, but it's gonna go, because if I could only have one, it'd probably be this guy because he's more carryable. So the Quiet Carry 9 is going. Are we gonna get the Drift up next? Is that what we're doing? think we are giving up the drift. I mean, I'm not happy about this decision, but the drift goes next. We talked mostly about it already. Everything good about it. Neural titanium is perfect. This is a perfect knife. I think this was my favorite knife back in 2022. It beat out the Neutron, but the Neutron is now outshadowed it in my mind, probably because of that finger choil and the blade shape swoops up more than I would like. I'm really nitpicking it here, but I'm not going to give too much more of an explanation. Wire clip is perfect. Look how deep that gets. Extremely light. I think it's like 2.6 ounces or something. It's extremely light. I think this is about 300. I think this guy was about 325, maybe 350. ProTech Malibu, I think, was like 180. And then the Venom Jack, I already said these are about $300. So now we're cooking with some bangers in here. Okay, there we were. Peñamula. If this was lighter, this could be in my top 3. 2 complaints. It's heavy. 3 complaints. It's heavy. I'm not that nitpicky, but it doesn't have much of a sharpening choil, so I'm not going to get that much life out of this because it is pretty thick too. And this, you can't really see, but well, yeah, you can now, but like this is like gills right here. And so when your pants go into here, it is sawing up your pants on the way out and in for that matter. So the weight, the gills that they decide to put here, and also not put them on the inside, and then the thick blade are my complaints. Outside of that, I love the micarta. It's almost like my my CRK Chris Reeves Sabenza. Very nice micarta. Feels classy. This brass is unnecessary. If they just put 2 standoffs right here, you could probably cut like 0.25 ounces and it would be great. Or ounces, I don't know. You could probably cut like 15% of the weight by that brass backspacer there. And it rusted too. I had to like polish it off. But the action is phenomenal. Thumb studs, phenomenal, both front and reverse. This is definitely a late night fidget toy. Even the top flipper works really well. I don't know if the reach around. See, that doesn't feel fantastic, but we're just nitpicking here, and we're getting rid of phenomenal knives. Too heavy, pocket clips bad. I'm being an asshole when I don't need to be, but there can only be one Highlander. All right, Peñamula. I think I got this for $275. All right. Okay. Oh, I have 2 of them on here. I don't know why I have 2 of them. Pretend one of these wasn't here. I think these are both the Sage 5s. They were both lightweights. This is in M4. This came out a long time ago. And then I just got this week. This is in Rex 121. If you don't know what Rex 121 is, this will cut through shit and stay sharp longer than pretty much any steel you've ever heard of. For the most part. I mean, unless you're like a total knife nerd, it's going to outcut pretty much everything. Anything in my collection and most people's collection. Rex 121. I think this looks fucking awesome. I don't know if you call this a DLC coating, but you can see it has like a polish to it. And they needed to put something on it because this is M4 and it will rust. Wish they put it on that because this will fucking rust faster than anything on this table. There's a price for edge retention. I think this looks awesome. Aesthetically, I think it's awesome. They got the black accents with the OD green. Both of these scales are from ADW, what's it called? Applied Weapon Technologies. I think they make like gun grips and shit. But nice scales. I got these scales like a month ago. Put these on it. I think they're great, and they add such a nice feel to it as opposed to the FRN scales that were on this one before. Kind of looked cool. The mint, it almost looked like a mint chocolate chip, but they're the same things that are on the Manix They just feel cheap. But for a nice knife like this, long story short, this one's got to go, and we'll talk more about it. But this is a perfect EDC knife. So, but it's outshadowed by this currently. I also have a third one coming in, well, when it comes from Spyderco, but it's in MagnaCut. So that, I guess, will be the perfect one when it eventually comes out. But that's been on pre-order for a long time. Next to go. We might get rid of, yeah, let's do it. I think, Yep. We'll do it this way. So the Midnight Jack was possibly my first. I have two Midnight Jacks. I have one in my cart, a real basic, similar to this. A nice Wharncliffe, what I would call not a sheep's foot. And it's great. I love this, what do you call it? I think they call it a purple haze. It's like a mixed black and purple carbon fiber. All the carbon fiber on Jack Wolf knives has been great. I'll give you a quick blurb on them. They're fit and finish of traditional pocket knives using modern materials, titanium, carbon fiber, good steels like M390 they used in the beginning, and now they're using S90V in pretty much everything. Their action, or the walk and talk of the slip joint, is second to none. That honestly, I don't know that much outside of like Buck knives and some other like Bokers, some cheap knives, but it's phenomenal feeling. You are paying for it. These are more collector's pieces. This one I think was, like $250, $275. But it's great. They all come with these Jack Wolf knife slips that they will all fit into. They're not as convenient for carrying, but again, they're more collector's pieces. You can certainly, these are meant to be used. Unlike some of these prettier knives, they can be used, but they're not meant to be used. This is meant to be used. It's hollow grind, the thinnest hollow grinds that I have in my collection. They're extremely sharp. Like, these points are extremely sharp, and I could cut for days with S90V. Yes, that's what this is. But this one's going to go. I'm rambling on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to knock off another Jack Wolf. This is the first, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the second, but the first locking knife that they made. This is the After Hours Jack. And I kind of liked it, and I think it just looks a little tacky. I think this one was about $350. I think they jumped up when they went to the locking mechanism. We're also talking about a bigger knife, like overall, as opposed to the Midnight. So it's basically this knife, but as you can see, it's much shorter. So you're dealing with more materials. Speaking of materials, we're also using S90V with the DLC coated blade or PVD. I always mix those up, but it's the good. And what's really unique, and the only one that I have, is this is Kieranite. It almost looks like a bowling ball. I think they make gun grips out of that. Other materials, very hard, very obviously corrosion resistant, but it has like a, kind of a, I don't know what you call that, but it has a 3D effect to it because it is like an epoxy type thing. Very strong. It's not like cheap plastic or anything. It's not going to scratch very easily or anything. They also put this nice, kind of an off-colored, but I think they this backspacer, I think they're anodizing the titanium. So it's never a guarantee on how it's going to turn out, but it's kind of jarring how it doesn't match that green or black for that matter. But anyways, getting back to it, this is ultimately like a locking Midnight Jack, the After Hours Jack. It's got great flipper action. The blade is extremely light, so it kind of doesn't drop extremely well. Just because it's so light. We got a substantial handle. It's not necessarily heavy, but the blade seems so light and thin. It doesn't feel phenomenal. It's not perfect. Let's put it that way. The clip is no complaints. It's okay, but that's why it's gonna go next. I got nitpicks about it. So yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I think I see who's going next. I think I see three. I see three that are going to go next. Potentially four. Whew, this is tough. Because, I'm thinking if I could only have one, that's not, there's an obvious answer if you can only add one, but I'm looking, and then what I use, and I don't use a lot of them. All right, so I'm not making much sense, but yeah, this is potentially the nicest knife that I have. I know it's not the most expensive, but it feels phenomenal. It is gorgeous. This is like an art piece. This is more of a Ferrari, and there's some Lamborghinis out here. I call this a Lamborghini. This is a Ferrari, I would say. It's just, no, it's a basic drop point. That's the most disappointing thing about this knife, but it's beautiful. The handle to blade ratios are perfect. They're almost 1-to-1. Are they? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, not quite, but you don't get that. You don't get that very often. Let's take out, for instance, let's just pick on somebody. Let's pick on somebody who's average. This might even be good too, but that's a similar handle, shorter blade. What I'm getting at is the blade to handle ratios are great. Ergonomics are great. Action is butter. I think only the same, well, maybe a little bit better than the Spyderco, Spidey Chef, but it's beautiful. Top flipper, the fuller works good for deployment, and drop shutting just drops. I think all the knives other than the ones I mentioned that don't have perfect blade play, this is bank vault dropping like glass. So, but Sharp Eye Design Mini Tempest, I think this was about $375. I decided to, I opted for the premium carbon fiber, which is the dark matter, kind of gold specked with black carbon fiber. This is the most beautiful knife in my collection. There's, I would say maybe the purple's throwing me off, but I think this is the most beautiful thing that I own. Knife in my collection, that is. Okay. I see a couple that can go here. I see a couple. All right, let's get it out of here. The EMP EDC Pulse. This is my first. I also have the ProTech Runt. I got a couple automatics, but this was my first out the front. You ready for this? Oh, dude, it's insane. It's awesome. It's awesome. This opens everything. You ready for this? Let's get, something, Oh, you got a package? Okay. Package. I'm cutting terribly, but it's MagnaCut steel. Did I mention the steel? M390 on this guy. I think that was the last one. All right, this is also in, a MagnaCut. The blade shape works perfectly for, cutting and opening packages. But look at those blade handle ratios. Those are atrocious. See, that's what I'm talking about. They're not even close. This is getting a lot more blade in, but you have a mechanism in here that's deploying this and de-deploying. Let's do it that way so you can see it. Action is great. This is my first out the front knife that I got. Everybody is saying it's great. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. It also doesn't look aggressive. I didn't want to get a fucking spear point to scare everybody. So I went with this, and I couldn't be happier. This is a perfect package opening device. You put it back on the table, you're off. And he's off. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We got to move on because we are at 1 minute and 20, or an hour and 20 minutes. Next to go, we will take out the Sage 5 and Rex 121. The MagnaCut might come up as like the best single EDC that you can get. Some of these knives you can and can't get. There's a couple of them that are like, these are all, I think I knew it was going next, because we really need to go into like one knife category. This could be up there. This could easily be up there. The Rex 121, it's going to outlast anything by a long shot, but at the same time, it's going to rust. So for that reason, it can't be on here. Maximet or in MagnaCut, that's different. That might change. It also isn't the lightest knife. These are aluminum scales, much heavier than most things on this table. Yeah, so anyways, Sage 5, lightweight. What was lightweight, no longer lightweight. Compression lock, Rex 121, great wire clock pocket clip. I just got it in these kind of flashy scales because this isn't going to leave the house because I don't want it to rust. But as far as a single knife, great ergonomics. My favorite Spyderco, I would say. I wish there was more blade, but you got to fit it into the handle. And I don't know how they would do that because that comes down to the edge. You don't need much more blade than that when you're just breaking down boxes, opening packages and shit. This leaf shape is perfect. It's wide. That's another reason why I wouldn't want it to be my only knife. But, you know, again, this is one that stays up here on my countertop with my opening knives. That's where these guys stay, and they open my packages for me. All right, we got those out. Next, we're going to have to knock out another one. I'm not going to have a slip joint. This is my favorite slip joint of all time. I think mainly because of these scales. This, what do you, not jibbed, but I think they call it the stone titanium. It's beautiful. Just milled titanium to look like stone, like a stone finish, with these purple screws here. S90V as well. Great action that you know from Jack Wolf knives. If I could only have one slip joint, it would be this guy. There's not much else to say. It's great. It's beautiful. We're going to continue down that path because while I love this knife, while this might be, I don't know, it's got to go. The Jack Wolf, oh shit. It's not the Cyborg, is it? I got a list over here just in case. Jack Wolf Bionic. I almost called it the Cyborg. Kind of like the Cyborg. Cyborg kind of goes like that, but this is the Bionic Jack. Similar to, it's a clip point, which is my least favorite here nor there. This action is phenomenal. The acoustics, oh, I don't know if you can hear that. Oh, just the ping. It's almost like a samurai. Shing. I love that. Let's say the things I don't like about it. Don't like the clip point. This is probably the sharpest scalpel blade that I've got. All Jack Wolves are hollow grinds that are extremely slicey. I could use a couple of them, or I could use any of them. They will all hold up just fine, but I don't, because this is a beautiful piece. This is the limited edition on a sold out knife already. Actually, I think you could get this in other forms, but I'm pretty sure you can't get this one. This is crystallized titanium. I don't know how they do it, but I think it looks awesome. That's some, I don't know what they do, crystallize it some way, somehow. I'm not the biggest blurple purple fan, but I think it looks awesome. Same with the screws on that other one. I like a little bit of flair. The action is real simple. Has this little fuller right here. Your nail fits perfectly into it. Spidey flick it out. Boom, it's out. Ergonomics, no complaints. Everything's great. It's beautiful. It's fun to play with. One of the other things that kind of sucks, it doesn't have very good access to the lock bar, and you can kind of see this sticks out, which is just how it has to be, because when it is closed, you know, actually that sticks out more than it needs to. That's interesting. Either way. That's not perfect, but I'm not going to let that nitpick it. This is my favorite Jack Wolf. Followed closely by that Venom Jack in titanium. Not much else to say about it. I know I'm skipping points on a lot of these, but this Jack Wolf was probably 300, maybe 325 because of the limited edition. I've been going for the limited editions because you're gonna pay just a little bit more for them. Maybe $25, which is a cocktail these days. and you're gonna get like a piece that you're not gonna find anywhere else, and you're gonna get the perfect piece, hopefully. Something different other than, they do, purple haze on everything, so it's nice to see something different. That's why I got this one. But if this was a different maybe color, I would like it. This just looks like, like Venom. Not like the Venom Jack, but like, kind of the color of Venom in video games and stuff. I'm not really a fan. So my favorite Jack Wolf, I think. S90V, that one's probably $350. All right, now we're getting into, these right here are pretty much just, if I could only have one knife. I'm happy how this turned out. And you guys probably know where this is going to go. Actually, I don't even know where this is going to go. I'm just going to go out real quick and say, while this could be a single knife, perfect carry, perfect ergonomics, perfect washer action, perfect in all. Oh, you see that? My fingers are getting sore. But perfect in so many aspects, even paper thin, super lightweight. I wish, no, I don't wish I had the jig, because this, or the knurled, this has plenty of grip. Maybe if it was, wet, that might be a factor, and I could get the knurled that I have in some of my other ones. Like I think they do it all with this kind of knurling that they have, that I have on this one. But anyways, I like this one better. The ergonomics, the carry is better. It's also a hollow grind, but I'm not a fan of that super long blade. It's a little aggressive. I think it's intimidating. It almost looks like just a shanker, and I don't like that. But it carries so thin, so nice, so easily for a lot of blade that cuts a lot. But I like these ones better. I'm not going to explain it anymore. All right. I'll give you a little breakdown right now. This one is my everyday. The Hogue Deca in Magna Cut with original goat scales. This one's the easiest to deploy. I don't know if it has the best blade shape. It has utility in that it's thicker up here. So if you're really like cutting through like wood, let's say you're cutting through wood like that, you can do that right here. And if you're slicing, you can kind of see right there, it turns to a thinner blade, and then you can draw cut, and do thinner, smaller cuts on the tip. That's how it's meant to be, and that's why it's such a popular knife. And it has a crossbar lock. I mean, you can't complain. These scales are perfect. It's very lightweight. It carries really well. The clip, no complaints. That's why he's here. The Hogue Deca in Magna Cut. TRM Neutron has been around forever. This carries the best on the table. It might outcut anything on the table. This is a hollow grind. It probably outcuts it, just because it's so thin. It's a tall, flat grind. It's also the lightest one on the table. These two are both on washers. This is on bearings. But this carries the best. It carries better than 95% of my other knives. That's why it's on the table, and I've had it for a long time. And then, the Chris Reeve Sebenza. This is like a holy grail for a lot of people. I've decked it out to be what I like. We got a Lynch Northwest custom clip. It's not just like a regular clip. I'm embarrassed. I'm not even going to tell you how much that costs. I'm not even going to tell you how much this one costs. You can look it up. This is a Lynch Northwest clip. It came with this leather like bead, which is nice. I bought these titanium studs because the studs that they have on them by stock are terrible. I got it in Magna Cut with titanium frame and micarta, and I got the Ensingo blade, which is perfect. This is my favorite. It has like some belly, comes to a point, perfect for draw cuts. I like more fidget friendly, but this is sturdy. Chris Reeve Sebenza, as you know it, is Like the best tolerance is it's a worker's knife, and that's why it's here. Do I carry it as much? No, for two reasons. Because it's extremely expensive. Out of all of them, and especially how I have it spec'd out, this is the most expensive knife in my collection. I think it was the most expensive before I even decked it out. It carries really well. It's very lightweight, but if I were to lose this, I would be furious. I would be absolutely furious. So that's why I don't carry it as much. Is this the best knife? Like, if I was, we'll get there. Let's get down to it. Hogue Deca, Magna Cut, carry this one the most. I could get this for about $110 aftermarket scales. You have to throw on there because the scales on there are crap. This one's going. TRM Neutron is in 20 CV. I've had it for a million years. Not a million years, like 5 years. I love it. It carries extremely well. Some of the best well. The most well. It cuts perfect. I love this blade shape. Everything's great. I'm so torn. I guess if I could only have one knife for the rest of my life, I'm not going to buy it because it's fidget friendly. I'm going to buy it because it's a knife, because it's a tool. The Crest Reeve Sebenza. I feel so cheesy saying this, but it's true. This thing is a fucking bank vault. The tolerances are perfect. The action is glass smooth. There's no blade play. There's nothing. It's perfect. The ergonomics are great. It's a little, I'm nitpicking, but just like the mini RSK being a little knife, it kind of has that little man syndrome, but I only need one knife. And it's not going to be a big knife. I'm not going to be carrying this guy around. I'm not going to be carrying, oh, come on, this guy around. This guy's too small. This is just, if anything, just a hair too small. But this is a perfect knife. While it is thick, it carries extremely well. While it is, full titanium, I don't even see any cutouts in there. It is extreme, like the weight, it does not feel heavy. Action is fine. It will drop shut as long as I pull the lock bar in. It will drop. Action's just fine. I really appreciate the crowned spine right here. The jimping is perfect. The studs make it, work just fine. I probably only need it on one side now that I think about it. Access to the lock bar is phenomenal due to the cutout that they've put, and a lot of groups could take some notes from that, but it just makes it really easy to access the lock bar. The tip right here this is crowned, and then it comes to a point, right here, or not a point, but comes to a little bit of a false edge right here. Excuse me. And that is perfect for scraping. I've scraped all sorts of stuff with that, and you don't have to worry about, mucking up your blade. You can just use the back of the knife right here. Again, ergonomics are great. Hollow grind. This will cut extremely well in Magna Cut. Easy to sharpen. Waterproof. Let's just call it waterproof. I've rambled for an hour and 33 minutes and 30 seconds. If I could only have one knife in my collection, it would be the Crest Reeve Sebenza. Thank you for watching. Good night.